Ever since this version of Sinestro was mentioned in the listings for upcoming McFarlane releases, and at the time we didn't know when these figures would come out, but these listings are common. They have always been shared once this information was found. I was just excited because since last year in October, I believe, was when the Wave 2 of Collector Edition came out, right? Yes. Let me try to I think it was. It was the wave that had Hawkman, Firestorm, and Sinestro. So I pre-ordered the Sinestro at the time, and I was very fortunate to receive the Platinum Chase variant. But I didn't want to return it and swap it for a regular one because that would be stupid, right? A Platinum Chase is already hard enough to find, let alone even randomly receive via Amazon orders. So I kept it. But for a period before that listing came out, I was debating if I even wanted to buy another collector edition Sinestro just to get him in the Yellow Lantern suit. I'm glad I didn't because when that listing came out and I saw that they were going to make this version of Sinestro, I was just excited. I was like, cool. I don't need to buy another collector edition Sinestro. We can wait for this one. And he's finally here. Now, the irony of this release is kind of, similar to the Hal Jordan. Once again, he is a store exclusive, which is really funny because you would think that they would have probably released them in maybe the collector edition line or a page puncher or a Mcfarlane digital, whatever the heck they choose to do. But of course, they opted for the good old store exclusive, and I'm just happy that it is not Walmart. It is Target because that just made it easier to find. And I'll say this, when I found this figure last month, like early last month when they were posting that this was being found in stores, I just went to my local Target. I saw that they only had 2 left in stock on the site. I asked them to check for me if they have any in stock. They did have it in the back, and they got it for me, and that's how I was able to get this Sinestro. So I'm just happy that this hunt was the easiest of them all. I didn't have to struggle. None of that. Because sometimes figure hunting can be a pain in the ass. And luckily, this one, being a figure that I was very excited for, did not have to pose such struggle. Okay, with that said, let's dive into the review. Who is Sinestro? Well, the data profile card that is included will give us a sense of who is Sinestro. And then I'll talk about the Parallax thing after. So you have an image of him in the comic book art. It is very beautiful. I do like the way that this is drawn. It's not the same as the figure, of course. There are certain differences. And on the back, it reads his real name. I don't even want to know how to pronounce that, so I'm just going to think it's Dahl, even though I could be completely wrong. So, Dahl Sinestro is his real name. Proud Dahl Sinestro of Korugar loved order. To preserve it, he pursued power in all its forms, and became one of the most feared villains in the cosmos. He founded his own corps of cosmic terraces, and by dominating the cosmic entity Parallax, Sinestro became the Lord of Fear. He remains one of the most powerful beings in creation. So, to understand Sinestro, basically, Sinestro betrayed the Green Lantern Corps and, found the yellow energy and basically created his own, Lantern Corps after that. Which is probably one of the coolest things because the Yellow Lanterns are a pretty cool set of characters, even though they're villains. Some of the stories that I have seen a little bit of with certain Yellow Lantern characters are quite interesting. So it's not always about him. There are a few others in the core that they have made stories for where I think they were quite creative with in terms of that. And of course, Batman has also been a Yellow Lantern. Not for evil reasons, of course, but it's just funny because Batman has also been a Green Lantern. As for accessories, he does not include anything except for one accessory piece, which is basically this construct of some sort of dragon thing. I don't know what this is, but that is it. That's all he comes with, unfortunately, which I think is not the greatest when it comes to just one accessory for a character like this, because when you think back to like the Parallax Hal Jordan release, he at least had a lantern battery. He had two effect pieces that went on his hand, and I want to talk about that too. It's like they could have done something like this with his hand, like his fist hand. They could have swapped it with another fist hand where it looked like it had like a lot of yellow energy coming out of it, like he's charging his ring to maximum, power or something or whatever. They could have, been creative with that, but unfortunately, he does not have any other accessories. So that is it when it comes to accessories. As for the body mold, this is, of course, a reuse of the Parallax body. So it is nothing new. But again, it works because this was designed to be the Parallax armor. And I like the fact that they reused the body because there was no need to do anything else. However, that's what I would say if there wasn't something obviously noticeable that is different between this and the Parallax Hal Jordan in terms of the shoulder armor. So even though the rest of the body being reused is fine, they could have still retooled the shoulder armor. So what am I trying to say? As you can see, the shoulder armor is very different on this, right? They didn't do that. They decided to just, 100% reuse the mold. And this is why it's a little bit more flatter on this version. And it doesn't have this, amazing looking shoulder armor here. If they retooled it just a little bit, I think it would have been better. So that's just something I also want to point out. Excuse me. As for other places, he does have his lantern insignia, which is kind of interesting because, again, on the art card, it's not even there. It's just literally bright yellow. So, I don't know. Certain changes are not bad. I like the fact that the logo is there, so that's cool. And then the rest of the figures is very yellow. There's not a lot of paint going on outside of, like, the torso region and the arms with the black and white paint because everything else on him is yellow. And this right there is not their fault. So I've seen two different like depictions of him in this armor. There are some depictions where this area down here is like a darkish gray. I don't know. Or black. But there's also been versions of him where there is no other colors, just all yellow with the legs. And that is basically the version that they went with. So I think for a figure like this, it would have been better if they went with the source material that I've seen. I don't know how accurate the source material is. It could be, you know, very rare that they depict them in a different color like that with like a color contrast. But honestly, for a figure like this, if they painted this area black, it would have been better because there would be like a breakup between the yellow here and then there's a little bit of black down here. And then, I'm just saying it would be better than just all yellow because sometimes when you make a figure mostly all yellow, it's not like a bad thing, but it depends on how the yellow paint comes out. And in this case, the yellow paint, as you can see, is very plasticky, right? So in that case, it would be nice if there was more of like a black color to certain areas to make it pop. And they could have still painted this stuff white just for the sake of it, making it look cooler. But the fact that it's all yellow, that is where it's kind of lacking. Oh, sorry about that. It is kind of cold this morning. As for his face sculpt, I do like the way that this face sculpt came out. It is very, very nice. It does look similar to the other face sculpt they've made before. He does have the yellow eyes because he's fused with the Parallax entity. And if you don't know what the Parallax entity is, Parallax is basically the embodiment of fear. He's the avatar of the fear energy for the Yellow Lanterns. So that's basically what he is. So let's put it that way. And yeah, that's pretty much it. There's not really much going on. And the cape is also a reuse. It's not anything new. This is the Superman cape, I believe, from the Action Comics 1000 version. But outside of like the reuse, I still think that this is a really good figure for Sinestro in the Parallax form because I don't think we're going to get another version of this figure. Like, this is it. He finally made it. And if you don't have any version of Parallax Sinestro in any regard from the previous DC line or just in general, this is a figure that you have to pick up if it's still available to pick up. I know it's been a month since this figure came out, but if you can find it and get it for regular price, get it. That's all I can say. If you're a fan of Sinestro, of course. If you're not a fan of this figure or this character, it doesn't really concern you. Because, I mean, there's no point in picking up something that you're not into, right? So, give me a minute. Oh. Yeah, it's been cold in the morning here. I'm having like a runny nose right now, which is not good. I'm gonna have to deal with this later. I hate when this affects like me doing reviews, but at the same time, I don't mind having moments like this in my reviews because I am human. So, you know, there's things that I can't control, and having a runny nose and stuff is unfortunate. But yeah, it's just been cold this morning, and yep. All right. With that said, let's get into comparison because the articulation on this guy, I mean, I can show a little bit of it, but it's the same body. It's even tighter on my copy because this one's newer. So, it you know, everything's the same as the original Parallax Hal Jordan. It has the double jointed arms, you know, the legs, everything. It does everything the same, okay? Everything is the same, even the head rotation. So, the articulation on this guy is not anything different from that previous body mold. And I've done the articulation for the previous body mold in that review. It was quite a long review because it was also story time. Okay, let's get into comparison. So let's bring in, of course, the other Sinestro. So this is the platinum one that I was talking about. And as you can see, the head sculpts, let me try to show both head sculpts close up. They look pretty good. I think the head sculpts for both these figures aren't bad, in my opinion. And I like the way that they look different because one, it has a angry your expression, like this one. And then this one's just more like normal and mute. But yeah, there's like slight differences, right? Like the hair is different. And then the ears, like this one's ears are thicker, the other one's skinnier. So there's like clearly like a time difference in when they get this power, I guess. So I do like the differences there. And then on top of that, I think in general, like for a Sinestro figure, you'd really just need to have both versions of them because if you're lucky to have the yellow one as well in his yellow suit, that could work perfectly with this one because now you can have like the what do you call it, the period where you had the early period where he just wore the regular yellow suit, and then you have the later period where he finds a way to fuse with the entity and become one. So that's pretty cool. So for me, having both is already pretty good enough because it's like, this is all I need for Sinestro. I don't think I need any other version of him. I mean, if they ever do make the other costume that he wears, which is the one that I think a lot of people like more, it's the yellow and, no, not yellow, it's the blue and black costume, I think, or blue and gray. I don't remember what the colors were. Yeah, I probably might pick that up. So, if they ever do that. And of course, speaking of comparisons, we have to bring in the other version of where this body has been used originally for a figure mold. And there you have both Parallaxes side by side. And I would like to say this is probably the best way to reuse a body. But of course, with the paint scheme, I still think this is superior because as you can see, look at the way they did the paint on this figure. I wish they took some sort of creative liberty and did the same thing with this one. But again, just seeing them both side by side, it is really cool to have both Parallaxes now, and this was something that I've just been waiting for quite some time. So there it is. As for previous accessories, you can use other accessories for this figure. So if you have that collector edition Sinestro, one thing you can do, and I'll try to show this on camera to the best I can. So that version came with, like, you know, stuff like this, right? Which is cool. I don't know why they didn't include more construct effects, but if they did, it would have been better. And I want to see if I can, like, I don't think I can show it on camera, like putting this on. Let me just try to wrap this on his arm with this version if I can. Let me try. It is tricky. Okay, it is quite tricky, but I think I can make this happen. Okay. All right, let's just go with this, okay? You can have him, you know, looking like he's using this construct. And then, of course, the previous version, the collector edition, which is like a subline, but I still count it as DC Multiverse anyways, also included a lantern battery. And you can have him holding said lantern battery if you desire. And there you have Sinestro having cooler accessory pieces. And I think this is cool. So, yeah, if you have the previous one, this will definitely work. I think it works better because it goes on him. This accessory piece doesn't even go on him. It's just not even going to, like, stay on the figure. So, yeah, I wish they included some other accessories, like effect parts that could actually go on the figure. But with that said, this is our look at the Parallax Sinestro. That's a Target exclusive gold label. And if you found this video informative, give it a like. And this figure is going to fall down. Okay. And if you want to subscribe to my channel, you can do that as well. You don't have to. I post these for fun. And in the end of the day, this is for me to archive my journey of my hobbies. So yeah, with that, take care, and I will see you in the next video.